to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Glad everybody can make it there. I'm glad to see the sun out and warm it up again. We've been waiting for that for a while. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. I need to add those items. I need to add an item to the agenda there before we do that. We can go toward, right before the manager's report. I need to talk in that mic there.
Unless you got a lot taller.
Okay, so I'd like to put the Kraus House pickers on the agenda. And, right before the manager's report.
That's fine. The only other thing we can add, under the town policies for discussion, I sent you one that we left off from there, that's gonna be the, special event permit information. It was in your packet, we just left it off that list on there. But that was our mistake on that one. Should have been number, letter E. Did everyone have it in their packet?
Oh, excuse me, yes.
Yes.
I read it in its entirety.
Okay. Does you still have a motion for the agenda?
So moved.
All right, need a second.
Second to that, with that addition.
Okay. Favor? 5-0. Thank you. Public comment, agenda items. Citizens are encouraged to comment at this time on any item specifically listed as a meeting agenda. The committee time is limited to 3 minutes. So has anybody got anything they'd like to speak up about the agenda? Need the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 6th and the budget meeting of May 12th of 25.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second on that.
I'll second.
We got a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. Then, item number 5, police policies for discussion. I seen the chief here a while ago, but he took off on us. That you need to talk about.
Oh, it's the policies for the discussion. So these are some policies that were sent to you. And these are policies that we are looking to implement as we begin the new fiscal year. Some of them, we've discussed it, and we've elected that we're going to hold off on implementation until September. That will give our residents enough time to adjust to the changes. And we'll talk about each one and why those policies are necessary. And we'll start with the first one, which is outside utilities policies. On that policy itself, and I'll just read something real quick for the news media, and of course I'll have a copy of them whenever council is okay with them. But that way, for people that are watching can see it as well. This policy shall apply to any property, whether commercial, industrial, residential, situated outside the city limits, and does not remit property taxes to the town of Sparta. The policy does not revoke any rights or services associated with existing utility customers beyond the town limits. This policy primarily pertains to new utility service requests for external properties not currently served by the town of Sparta that do not have pre-existing infrastructures connected to the town. And basically what this property does is, while we would like to offer our services to residents outside of the town, we need to strengthen our inside infrastructure first. We need to fix some issues that we have internally. And I probably should have read the purpose of the policy first to you, but the purpose of the policy is the town of Sparta is committed to providing reliable water and sewer services to its residents, households located within its municipal boundaries. However, the town is not obligated to extend such services to residents outside its jurisdiction. As the town seeks to enhance its existing infrastructure, it is essential to establish restrictions concerning the utility service for households beyond the town limits. These restrictions are implemented to ensure a more effective allocation of staff resources towards existing customers and prospective residential clients within the town. What this policy does is there are some limitations as we move forward. Under limitations, we do intend to continue to provide services for outside residents, because they will, and of course theirs is gonna be at the outside rate. But what we cannot do, and feasible at this point in time, is offer our services to residents that are 3 or 4 or 5 parcels behind our main infrastructure. And that's who gets limited on this. Doesn't mean that we can't do it, in the future, but at this point in time, and we've had a couple people have come up here and talked to us about it, and I've kind of told them that we're holding off on any of those, because we don't have we're implementing this new AMI system, and 2, every new resident that we add, we have to add a meter for, a new automated meter for. With this connection, and I'll give you an example of one that was brought up to me. The individual came up and said, my house perked for a septic tank, and I would like to have I'd like to be connected to the town sewer instead of a septic tank, because the septic tank is $12,000. And that was the ballpark price that they gave me. So when we pulled up our infrastructure map, his property was 2 parcels down from the end of our sewer line. And aside from being down 2 parcels, it was on the opposite end of the roadway. So in order for us to provide sewer and water for this individual, the water wasn't a problem, it was on their side of the roadway, and it went up through the property line. The sewer itself, we would have to go up 2 parcels and then bore underneath the road, or open face cut the road to be able to come to them. And that's gonna cost us more than the sewer tap itself to do that. And this person's not in town, this person's out of town. So a couple other things on this is, on this policy is there are some restrictions. The town will not incur the cost of excessive work. We had an individual that has come up, has requested us to do a sewer and water tap for the property. They're wanting to do 4 mini houses. And they are located outside of town. It's off of 21, so it's a major highway. We can't shut down 21 and cut it open just to do a sewer tap, because it's gonna take us a while. Plus, what he's needing will require a large diameter of water itself, and the sewer taps, I've explained to him, it's gonna be 1 sewer tap per house. It's not 1 main sewer tap and everyone just attaches to it. And the water itself, we have to engineer it, has to be engineered to come across the road to your parcel. And then from there, it depends on how many people, if you're gonna do 4 houses, 3 houses, 6 houses, we can't go back and forth across the road that many times, so we have to have that engineered. So there is a scope of work here in this policy that says, should the project necessitate specialized engineering, the expenses incurred for engineering services, and any potential contractor costs requiring to fulfill the scope of work shall be the property owner's responsibility. The town will not bear any responsibility for costs incurred by the property owner for work that is not the town's responsibility. The town will not be responsible for hiring and contracting engineers or contractors for the property owner. No work by the town or staff or connections to the town's infrastructure shall be permitted until all applicable fees are paid. So we did reach out to the contractor and just asked what it would cost to have that engineered. The contractor was, just for one line to go across, was going to be, I'm trying to remember top of my head, about $4,500 to come across. And then at the end of the day, contract work and everything coming in, getting full permits, we were looking at a project that was gonna cost the town well into between $10,000 to $15,000 for a residence that's not, for property that is, not in the town limits.
What if the, person requesting this, paid all those expenses?
If they paid all those expenses, then yes, we would be, we could do that.
Would then be an exception?
Yes, and that's
Or is
why
that in that
yes.
part that you just read?
Yeah, and that's what that sentence, that's what that paragraph refers to. In this case, you know, if they accept those costs and they pay for it, then we will go ahead and service that property and we'll take care of it at that time. But we would have to rent special equipment to be able to get that to bore up underneath the road. And the fee schedule, however, I will say the fee schedule does specify that boring and shoring equipment rental will be added to the tap fees. But everything has to be paid before the work gets completed. Because the last thing we want to do is rent boring or shoring equipment and then they don't pay for it during the tap fees, and they say, well, I'm just gonna pay for the tap fee.
And I think, Mr. Bouton, not to cut you off, but this is something that's been overdue. This procedure certainly, well overdue, and years past, I particularly like housing subdivision development. Towns of Florida recognize the necessity for housing development, economic benefits from subdivision. Economic benefits the subdivision can facilitate. However, housing developments located beyond the town's city limits do not contribute to the town's growth. People were told in the past, oh, yeah, we wouldn't run water and sewer lines to you regardless, and water and sewer lines would run here and there and on, and so our infrastructure was neglected. So this is very pertinent and very timely to keep us from getting in those situations again, and as you said, take care of our infrastructure and take care of our folks here in town. So I appreciate the time that you put into this, and it's something we've needed for a long time.
And thank you. What I do want to point out is there's an option in there. The next bullet point or the next subheading is annexation for infrastructure. Under North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 160A, Article 4, it spells out the procedures for annexation, which we will follow. And I went through and I read it, and it does specify that the municipality has the right to request that you annex before they extend their infrastructure to that facility.
Correct.
There are some limitations though, and I will bring this up, and this is not a clear cut that we will never give services outside the town limits. That would be discussions that the council and I can, we could have, because in the past couple of days, we've had, I've had 2 individuals that have, reached out over, housing development. One of them is outside of the 3-mile radius that we can,
1 mile,
well, we can go up to 3 miles with the spot annexation.
excuse me.
Yeah, so we can do a 3 mile outside of the town boundary limits, we can do a spot annexation. And this housing development is expecting to bring in hundreds of housings, and we are within less than a mile, our infrastructure ends, less than a mile from where that's gonna happen. That would be an example, as Councilman Atwood said, where if they agree to pay the cost of that, we can extend it, and we can't really say, well, how about you annex, because they're outside the general statute requirement of 3 miles. I've looked into it, I've measured it, and we've measured as many ways as we could, and they're 3.2 miles at best that we can get, still outside of that, 2/10 of a mile. So, the option whenever I have a meeting with these individuals in person is, yes, I'd come back to council, we would have a discussion about it. If you want town infrastructure services, you're gonna have to come up with the cost of us extending it to you. But it gives us the provision to say no to some of those that we've had come in and say, well, my house is it's 3 houses back on this road, but we don't even have a main line going down that road. And we've had several of those that come in and say, well, I'd like to have services. And then when we start looking in the map, there are many parcels back, so we have to cross one. As Kevin said, you don't wanna get into a willy-nilly situation where you're running a line, 800 feet down into, through some dirt roads to be able to get somebody, because if it breaks, even at 800 feet, that's the town's responsibility to take care of.
Well, and further reason that we need procedures, we need things outlined, so everybody's treated the same way.
Yeah, and any housing development that develops outside, and if for whatever reason we cannot annex it, and council wants to extend the infrastructure to it, we now have a policy that says you have to pay for that infrastructure expansion of the town. Whereas currently, we don't have a policy that says we can force them, ask them to pay for that. So at this point in time, is there any discussion on the outside town limits?
And I'm all for, I've always said ever since I've been on the council, and first of all, I apologize, I thought that said police a while ago. And get my glasses checked, or get some glasses. But I've always said there when, I come on, council, that the town needs growth. We haven't annexed anything since the 80s, and, cost of everything keeps going up, but our tax base stays the same. So, if anything, if they want to, build some places there and, new structures, they need to annex into the town.
And I think most people will understand, it's not that we're not wanting to help them out, but we have to take care of our current infrastructure. There's no need in expanding to outside areas, as many said, if they're not gonna be part of the town and help us in our growth. But again, every subdivision, we will always bring to the council, and there is, the council can always have the option to say, we can do that subdivision if feasible, which you would have, when that happens, you would have the drawings, you would have the measurements of where our current infrastructure ends and where it starts.
So-
the cost of it.
So at the end of the day, we finally put some stuff in writing,
Yes, sir.
and it's still gonna come to council for anything that's kind of special.
If it's anything that's special that would benefit the town, such as, and I'll use that housing community where you're looking at hundreds of housing, it would benefit the town, in the long run, even though we can't annex that because of the general statute. It would benefit, the water and sewer revenue and, because it will give them an influx of it. Council always has the ability to say, we would like to visit the option to that, so we're not trying to handicap council either.
No. And the reason I asked, I've read through them, and I really appreciate it. And I didn't know how the rest of the board felt, but, I mean, I'm comfortable going ahead and approving everything, all of them, because I mean, unless you want to sit here and read through all of them, that's fine, but, I know there's some high points that need to be mentioned, but also this will be available for folks on our website, correct?
Yes, everything that gets passed tonight, will be on our website. And you're right, there are some high points, and some of them, I'll tell you which ones will kick in September.
Right.
And what we're going to do, and for the ones that kick in September, we're actually working on a pamphlet that will be handed out to the residents as soon as we've, get it approved, and they have from now to September to realize the changes. And it will be given to them, for those that pay their bill online, it will be emailed to them. Everyone has an email on file, will have it sent to them. Everyone that comes into the office to pay their utility bill will be given a paper pamphlet. And, of course, it'll be posted on our website as well, that we have new, policies that everyone needs to look at and understand the changes coming.
I appreciate it. Looks good.
The next one that, we will discuss will be the utilities cutoff policy. And this one is is an essential policy that this is gonna be one that will start September 1, and it'll give people enough time to prepare for this. Just a couple of quick highlights on this one. The late payment fee, non-payment of first invoice. Customers have until the 18th day of the month. We did the 18th instead of the 15th in case the 15th falls on the weekend. Have until the 18th day of the month, to 4 p.m. And the reason we did 4, because if it's Friday, office closes at 4. If it's during the week, office closes at 4:30. You still got a gap there, but and we didn't want to do to the end of day, because you'll have someone that will procrastinate and say, I'll get at 11:59. So we did till 4 p.m. on the 18th day of the month. If it's not paid on the 18th day of the month on the 9th by 4 p.m., then there will be a late fee as established in the fee schedule. That late fee will be added to that bill. The second non-payment of the invoice, if it's not paid, if the second invoice is not paid, it will have by the 18th at 4 o'clock, again, on the 19th, the utility service for that residence will be authorized for a shut-off. And they'll be disconnected, and will not be reconnected until they pay their bill in full, and late fee and the reconnection fee. And those fees are established in the fee schedule. Aside from those fees, the individual will also be, aside from paying that, they do have another option, that is they can enter into a payment plan with the town to get their water service back up. That payment plan will require them, however, to pay the prior month, and they cannot default on that payment plan. If they default on the payment plan, as specified in the back, their utility service will be cut off, and they'll have to return back to pay for everything again. And again, this information will be handed out in pamphlets and will be available for everybody. The reason that we are having to do these is, up to this point in time, we have charged a total of $8,720 in reconnection fees. And those are at $40 a reconnection fee at this point in time. So you can take that 8,720, divide that by 40, and see how many times we've had to cut people off. And some of these customers, and I actually, this was a conversation that I had with the front office staff. We've had some customers to call and say, well, I can't pay it. I'll pay you, half the bill. And when I find out, it's like, well, how much are they gonna pay? And I said, well, they're gonna pay, $100. $100 is half the bill, so, and they have a high usage, and no, it's not that they have a high usage, it's that they're 3 or 4 months behind already. So we've started cutting people off that are more than 3 months, and this right here will give them 2 months. Puts it in writing, if you're late 2 months, you're gonna be cut off. And there'll be late fees associated with it. Of course, late fees can always be, assessed and evaluated on a yearly basis during our, budget session. I would
bills over where actually people, it doesn't say that thing, are they just using way too much water is why their bills get up there, or?
That's, a lot of
are they
these,
just in shape, or?
there's, part of it is a leak issue, which is the reason the leak policy, and we'll discuss that one here in a second. Another issue is, we have people that, because their water has never been cut off, there's never been a standard, you know, there's been a policy that gets cut off. But they'll say, well, I'll pay you $50, $100, and for what, you know, prior administrations have allowed that to be, okay, well, you pay us $50, we'll cut your water back on. That's a practice that developed over time.
You get the same thing over and over.
Correct, and so they never catch up on their bills, and therefore, that's why their bills are so far behind.
Gotcha.
The next policy that we're going to, discuss, or just, talk about quick, is the leak adjustment policy. This policy is another policy related specifically to water itself. And I'll just read, real quick the conditions about it. It is the customer's responsibility to promptly identify and prevent water loss. Additionally, the customer is responsible for arranging the repair or replacement of the fixture or device causing the water loss. Although the town is not obligated to adjust an account when the water has been appropriately metered, the town desires to encourage customers to make prompt and permanent repairs and show consideration for the unusual circumstances by sharing the cost of the excess billing charges. There are some items that are not going to be adjusted. High usage due to watering the sod, gardening, washing vehicles, power washing, etc. Stuff that the customer knew they were gonna use high amounts of water for. The leak was caused by a third party from whom the customer can recover the cost. Examples include, but not limited to, theft, vandalism, negligence, construction damage, and unoccupied or vacant properties. Water loss arising from carelessness, negligence, or lack of due diligence on the part of the customer, as it is the customer's responsibility to discover and stop the loss of water promptly. This includes toilet leaks, hang-ups, leaking faucets, ice makers, water hoses, spigots, leaks that should reasonably have been discovered, or any other water using or consuming device that may be malfunctioning. And the other reason would be, the last one would be a leak adjustment was issued within the past 12 months for the same premises. One leak adjustment per 12-month cycle for the customer will be allowed. We do have a full fill option that will be available, so if someone decides that they want to install a pool, they do get a sewer, they can get a sewer credit towards that, because our sewer is charged based off of water consumption. So the amount of water that you use determines what your sewer charge is as well. That's the way our charges are set up. And of course, it talks about the responsibility and the payment on the account itself. The biggest reason that we are having to do this one is our total loss in revenue for leak adjustments from July 1 of 2024 until the end of May has been $31,137.88. That's what we have wrote off in water leaks, using the standard practice. $31,137.88. Now, I do want you to know that we did speak to one of the manufacturing companies here, because they don't use sewer, and they're actually, and they were required to provide statistical data, and that is Magnolia. They have a chilling system that actually evaporates the water, so what they consume is not what they put back into our sewer system. But they understood that they had to provide documentation to us, and they provided documentation. And if we have companies that do that, we will work with them to charge the water and not charge them for sewer that they're not utilizing. You know, so that is stuff that we will work with. And we are working on those kinds of policies, but right now the standard is If you're not using that, you have to provide documentation to us for us to be able to consider your stuff. But just in water leaks itself, it's 31,000 and some change at this point in time. And we still have the month of June to go.
The new software is coming with these meters, you'll be able to pull up usage by, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you can see maybe when the leak started and its high usage on just a few days, and then kind of rule out a leak at that point.
Yes, and the issue with the leakage cost and why we needed to establish it is, we do have some customers that will be told they have a leak, and they go 2, 3, 4 months before they fix their issue. And they're constantly asking for the leak adjustment. So at this point in time, it's now in writing, that's it. And it has to be reported within 60 days. And it's only gonna, if it's not reported within 60 days, or if you don't request a leak adjustment. And there is an application process. We do have an application that's already been established for this. If that leak adjustment is not reported within 60 days, or if the application is not submitted within 60 days of us notifying the customer that they have a leak, then we cannot go back 3, 4, 5 months. And we can only adjust one of those bills. We're not adjusting 2 bills. And the last one that we have is the, correction, we got 2 more. The sanitation collection policy. The biggest thing with the sanitation collection policies is our sanitation department is been getting a lot of building supplies, metal, and unapproved items in the dumpsters and in the trash cans themselves. This kind of lays the foundation, especially for those that have dumpsters. And as we move forward to where the town will own the dumpsters, this sets a foundation of what will allow us to revoke the right for them to be able to have that dumpster. It also specifies how we're gonna handle the distribution of the trash cans. And again, each house will only be allocated a max of 2 trash cans, but the town will only provide 1 at this point in time. The prices for dumpster rental as we move forward will all be market-based prices because of the fluctuation of the metal market at this point in time. And our vendors can only guarantee the price of a dumpster for 7 days, and after 7 days, we have to request another quote if we don't purchase the dumpsters from them. So that's why those prices will stay at market level until we can get a steady price on those.
I will say that the garbage collection guys are diligent, because there's been a few times I've inadvertently thrown something in my can that wasn't supposed to be there, and I got home and it's laying beside the can. So, I mean, they are looking and they're getting that stuff out there, they're doing a good job.
They are, and then another thing is, we've ran into issues, and in there, I didn't touch on it, and I probably would have, but just real synopsis on it. We've run into issues where, I've seen trash cans sitting on the side of the road, and then there is the equivalent of 3 other trash cans worth of trash beside them. They were told that they're not to pick that up. Those trash cans, we pick up what fits in the container, which is as specified in that, and then we put the container back. If the individuals, it's the property owner's responsibility to make sure that trash gets put into those containers. If one container is not sufficient, then they can purchase a second container from the town, as we move forward. But, this again gives them the ability to, it gives our sanitation department a foundation on which to say our policy says the following. Because we did have a business recently that told them, well, I wish there was something in writing, that specified what can and can't go into my dumpster. So,
We got it, man.
I told him, I said, well, I said, tell him to come back in about 20 days and he'll be able to have it.
Is this going into effect September immediately, okay.
Yeah, that one will go into effect immediately. The leak adjustment and the, when I say immediately, I'm referring to July 1.
Yeah.
The leak adjustment and the, cutoff will go into effect in September.
So immediately now means what, July 1?
July 1, yes. Let's see, the sanitation will go effective July. The leak adjustment will go effect in September. The outside limits will go effect in July. The, I will just go caveat for people when they read this and for the news sector put in there. We will not have the rollouts available for distribution on July 1, but we are gonna try to get them as quick as possible in July so we can start distributing those as needed. And they will change colors, they won't be green, because up to this point, the green ones are the ones that the residents have purchased themselves. So we will be going to a different color trash can. So we will be doing the green ones and then whatever the town is providing us moving forward.
So their current green cans are still gonna be picked up?
Yes, we'll still continue to pick up the green cans, yes.
And they've already bought them?
Yeah, so if
So
someone
they're fine.
moves,
They're fine.
yeah,
But now if they want additional cans, and we get new customers, they have they get a new can.
we have a database that specifies each address, how many cans they have,
Okay.
and each
They
address,
don't have to do anything different if they just
No.
make that clear.
yeah, each address gets 2 cans, and that's it. So if you have 1 can and you wanted a second can, and you wanted to wait until we got the new ones, because you wanted, the other ones won't be a charge on, because we're providing those as we move forward. We only have a set quantity of those. Once we run out, you just have to go on the wait list to the next fiscal year when we order the next batch.
But again, if you're content with your current can, then you just continue to use it and everything's gonna roll on just like.
Correct.
Good.
And the other color, we're not exactly sure what the vendor's gonna be able to do. We've,
They have those in wheels.
I was just
we've thought many ideas on colors, but the green ones are the ones that are owned by the people that purchase them. The green dumpsters are owned by the people that purchase them.
Uh-huh.
And then whatever the new can color is, those are property of the town. And, you know, if they damage those cans, we can withhold giving them another can if they are intentionally damaging that can. And we do have ordinances that allow for civil penalties for damage of town property.
If someone has a green can now, and they're good with 1 can,
They don't have to give
once,
them.
but if that can becomes damaged or just worn out over time, do they then get their 1 free new color can?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
If we still have them in stock, if we don't run out. And I can't tell you how many we're gonna be able to order until we.
But it may be a year or 2 before they need a new can. Their green can may last them another 2, 3, 4 years, but once that green can's worn out, then they get a free can from the town.
Correct,
It may be a different color.
Yeah, that's all right.
yeah.
And I'll be the first then, cause my lid's tore all to pieces.
So, but yes, we will take a portion of those new ones, and we will keep them as reserve, should something happen. And our sanitation guys are going, you know, when they pick them up, they'll report if there's any cans. If we damage the can, of course, we'll replace it. But they will make, they do a good job of making notes about stuff. Another thing on that sanitation, and it'll be available for everybody, is blocking dumpsters and not putting your rollout cart where it is easily accessible. It will not be picked up, and we cannot guarantee that we'll be back to pick it up at the end of the route. We've had issues where customers know the dumpsters don't need to be blocked, and the dumpsters are blocked. And they call and they're mad because their dumpster didn't get picked up. We cannot, especially with us doing the way we're gonna do the new rollouts, we expect there to be more customers. We cannot spend 4 or 5 minutes trying to hunt somebody down to come move a car. If the dumpsters are blocked, if the trash cans are hidden, and for some reason, some people like to put a green trash can between green bushes and expect our guys to see them. if they can't see it, if they can't access it, and doesn't get picked up, you're gonna have to wait another week before you get your trash picked up.
Well, now, Jose, the guys didn't tie mine up. The guys didn't track it, but we.
Better be careful, you gonna tell them yourself.
The wind kept blowing it up and just finally broke it off.
Put them cinder blocks.
Hey, I've already get that together, I've done a good job.
But that is in there, just to kind of touch on that. And the last thing is the special event permit information. This will go along with the application for special events. And special events are large-scale events that will require, town resources, and it's specified in there what a special event is. And it's this right here, before we accept any applications, they'll be given a copy of this. They'll be given an application process, and we'll have a copy of the fees that are associated with certain special events. They'll have to submit that. Our goal is, and you'll see when we move to the next event, our goal is to minimize stuff that we have to get council to approve, and now we move to a standard way of saying, hey, the only thing that we have to get council's approval on as we move forward is not shelter reservations, not, the stuff that people can go do on a day-to-day basis, but it is more of the large-scale events. We need to shut down a road, we need to allocate additional resources, whether it's sanitation resources or law enforcement resources. These are the information that have to fill this out. And they have to understand what insurance requirements are. It specifies what they're required to have for insurance. If it's a large-scale event that requires special parking, it specifies and discusses parking. They have to submit a plan to us on how they will handle excess parking. Police department, it specifies how we will determine the police department required for that event itself. Fire and EMS, it specifies that the responsibility is on them to ensure that those services are available. If it's an event that's got thousands of people, they need to have fire and EMS available, and the liability is on the event sponsors to make sure those services are contacted. Any special equipment that has to be done, that has to be purchased for us to be able to handle these events, it's all puts it in writing, so that way it's clear cut. And what we'll do is we'll establish, the department heads and anybody else that we see necessary will be part of that special event committee that's responsible for reviewing that event and determining what, resources are necessary to safely have that function in the town limits.
Will they develop that incident action plan per event
Yes,
with that committee?
yes, an instant action plan will be developed with that committee as we move forward. That way, and that's why the fire and EMS aspect, the event sponsors have to make that. There's also in there a requirement, and it is, event notification section. They have to notify the businesses and the property owners that will be affected. They have to provide copies to the town that they have made those notifications to those business owners, letting them know that an event will occur, and will affect their property in any way whatsoever, whether it's a street closure, they just have to give us some sort of notification.
And
so we can
they,
put that forward.
they have to notify the property owners, not us.
Correct. It is the
And
responsibility of the event, of the event sponsors.
This is an excellent document, again, long overdue, well overdue, and it puts everybody on the same, level playing field, and everybody knows exactly what's what, so thank you for your work on this.
July first or September first?
This one right here, however you want to do it.
July 1st.
You can do July 1, or you can do, August 1 on this one. We do have a few events in July. I think everyone's aware of that, and we can start working on those IAPs with them. So we can use July as a trial run and see how the IAPs work, and then make it concrete. The document is pretty much self-explanatory. We're just trying to get them to work through it and understand it. Either way, we can do it July, or we can do it.
July first,
I'm fine with July 1st, we can make it work.
Yeah. I mean, it's just gonna be hard if you, because of the days, that they, for the event notification, if they have, if they're given 30 days to do that, it'll be hard.
It would be difficult now,
To do
we
that.
can say that, you know, for the month of July, we can omit the event notification ruling itself, just because we've already approved these events, and we know that they're not gonna meet that 30-day deadline. But they have to provide, to get them used to it, we can say, go ahead, provide it, but in August, it's mandatory that you need to give us an
I
exact
think that's fair.
notification. And they can use July as a trial run, but August, those things are required. But we'll say July 1 as the implementation, and we'll work with it. Are there any questions on any of those policies?
And thank you again for your hard work, everybody, department heads, all these things, were way overdue to be done, so thank you, and they're very comprehensive, very fair.
Okay. Okay,
Move on.
good job.
You wanna just, do a motion to accept all those?
I'll make that
I was
motion.
gonna see if we need them
That's what I was
to
saying.
accept it right there, so we got a motion,
I'll say
we got a second. We just. Well, 5-0, we'll do it, okay. Guys, we need a motion there, adopt all that. Number 6, request, Kraus Park event, Allegheny Wellness Coalition is requesting to have a food truck at their event on June the 13th. Mr. John Hudley.
That's the second event.
Stop.
We'll start right there with the Allegheny Wellness,
Okay.
Wellness Coalition wanted to do a food truck. They reached out, asked if they could do a food truck as part of that event itself. We've already approved for them to utilize the park on that day. They're requesting to do a food truck for part of that event as well.
Mr. Bouchon, is the food truck, self-contained? Do they need water, they need sewer, they need any hookups, or is it self-contained?
I'm here to speak on that.
Okay.
I'll let her speak on that one.
I don't know where.
Here's one set the podium over here.
You have your own housing and water.
Okay, hi. I'm Tiffany Francis, I work at Healthcare, and yes, this event is with the Allegheny Wellness Coalition. I'll happily pass this out to you all so you can kind of see. Pass it down. So the event itself, raises awareness to our community health assessment. We have 3 needs in the county. One is housing, one is, access to care, and the other one is a family and support structure network. Those were the 3 main things that were highlighted on that assessment, and that can be found on Healthcare's website. This fair itself, as he said, is on June 13th from 2 to 6. We'll have vendors in the park probably from like 1 to 7, so we just saw the need for food access during this event. The partner that we're working with, Los Cartanos, they are self-sufficient. That was the question that was asked. So they have everything they need. Our environmental health agency will come out and inspect them on the day of the event. They have been issued a temporary food permit at the time, so those have to access them on that day. So other than that, I don't think that they needed anything else, but I just wanted to share a little bit more about the event with you all, if I can take a second, because it is the first annual summer kickoff bash. The health aspect, we have partnered with, Cooperative Extension. They're gonna do bicycle safety and give away free bicycle helmets to the children that come out that day. We have free screenings, A1C, blood pressure checks, and a hemoglobin machine that'll be there. The Red Cross will have a blood drive at that event. We're holding Tai Chi and yoga classes in the park. This is in partnership with the Wellness Center. Carmen Long with Cooperative Extension is gonna do the cooking demo. We have a free farmer's market that will be giving out free fruits and vegetables to the community. A pickleball tournament will be happening. We'll have a whole kids zone with, a magic show and a balloon. You can make balloon animals for the kids and music from Red River Dawn. So it's gonna be a pretty awesome event. we just saw the need for food. So we wanted to request if you guys would allow them to come on that day.
I'll make that motion.
Second, go ahead. No, go ahead, you don't have to do it.
Go, Turk.
I second.
All right, got a motion, got a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
One question,
Sure.
when's the magic show?
It is all day, so he's gonna be there the entire time, so. the
I mean, it's
kids
going
zone,
on all,
He'll be.
He'll
in
be
the
doing
kids zone.
different things.
And he's done a, winter fun run event for us that we had at Muddy Creek. So he does a pretty good job.
And actually, all this is just for all the people in the
It's just
community.
gonna be, we hope that it turns into an annual tradition, but this is the first one that was highlighted, like I said, in that community health assessment. It was actually brought up, a person that attended the event said they just needed access to a blood pressure check, like it could have saved them a doctor visit if they could just got a free blood pressure check. So this whole thing was birthed out of that, so,
Good.
yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Tim.
All right. Mr. John Huey is requesting to place a canopy at the farmer's market for his wife's celebration of life, July the 26th. You want to speak about that?
Yeah, so, Mr. Tilley is actually, or Mr. Huey, so Mr. Huey is actually, reserved the farmer's market. And he asked if it was fine with putting a tent right beside it, and have some music, or it's a family, it's a private function. He's not, requesting a fee waiver or anything, he just wanna know that the council would be okay with something like that. And I said, we normally don't reserve that out, we do have a fee for it, we normally don't reserve it out. I told him that I don't see an issue as long as you abide by the ordinance on noise. He said they're gonna be out before we get started. And it's just, family coming in from out of state, and they just wanting to have a cookout, put some music underneath that. If council was okay, he said if not, he could rearrange underneath, the farmer's market. My
I don't see
recommendation,
the issue with that.
13th's on Friday there, I don't see any problem with that, any.
Do we need a motion?
No, I mean, and stuff like that, as we move forward with the application process, things like that is what we're gonna cover. And we're gonna try to get those out of adding to the agenda.
Right.
And those are, as we move forward with special event permits and everything else, that would require a special event permit. As long as it's something small, it's a 10 by 10 pop-up tent. What you see most, parents use during sporting season, during the summer.
Only question I have is, you said he's our farmer's market?
Yeah, and when we rent the farmer's market.
So this is after the farmer's market's over on that Saturday? Is that correct? Okay.
This is on Friday.
No, it
Right.
says right there, the 26th, celebration of life on July 26th.
Yeah, if it's whatever day it's on there, it's gonna be that afternoon.
Okay, all right.
But he'll be, I did explain to him, I said, there are apartments over there, but our noise ordinance doesn't kick in till, I think it's, 10 o'clock, is that right, chief?
Well, it can be excessive, it's specifically after, but especially is, I think, the word is used in.
Okay, well, I make that motion.
Been told us to keep it.
I'll second that, Josh, even though we don't have to make the motion, we're making it anyway.
That's fine.
We're gonna take a vote.
Then he used to take a vote on
Well,
it.
I guess we made the vote. we already voted.
All right, it's good. All right, moving on. Sparta Ford volunteers request to place flower pots on Main Street.
So, as you recall, we had an MOU understanding with Sparta for volunteering. They've come by and they've had a couple meetings with me a couple of times, and we actually, one of our meetings, I encouraged them to seek, information on becoming a nonprofit organization so that they can, one, give some sort of write-off to all the donors that are donating, making monetary donations to them. So they're moving forward, to try to get that situated, but they are purchasing, they're purchasing pots. They're gonna purchase pots, flowers, and they want to be able to put these pots and flowers on Main Street. As we move forward in the budget, as you, recall, I told you that we've separated one of our employees to care for Main Street and the park itself. Watering of those plants will be part of the daily maintenance of Main Street. And as well as picking up trash. In the MOU, the understanding is that the town will not incur costs for these projects. And this project itself, if approved by council, they will take care of purchasing plants, purchasing pots, purchasing soil, planting all that stuff, and placing it on Main Street. And we will just maintain it by watering the flowers. If the flower dies or something happens to it, it's the responsibility of Sparta Forward to, find a replacement for that item itself. And at this point in time, as the MOU specifies, any sort of project like that will require for it to come to council for approval.
Mr. Boutron,
Yes, ma'am.
we, have a situation in our town where a very good friend of mine, and former county commissioner, John Irwin, planted, perennials all around the courthouse, around the Dalton Annex, around the county building. Volunteers did that. It enhanced our town, it enhanced their property as well. They take care of them, they water them, they weed them, they mulch them, and that shows their desire to, improve the appearance of our town. We've had folks over the years, different groups, put up different things, and then not follow through, and then there was a bugaboo about who's supposed to do what. It's a little bit, problematic, and I understand that we have someone designated to take care downtown, and this may be splitting hairs, but if we choose as a council to plant flowers, then our staff will take care of those flowers. If a volunteer group chooses to do something like Mr. Irwin did, then it's not on us to take care of the things they do. So I don't, personally think that we should take care of things that somebody else decides to do to beautify our town. And there was some mention on social media that this was already approved and that they were gonna plant trees as well, which was all news to me. And, there was also mention that they had 50 members, which would indicate to me that there's plenty of people to take care of these, flower boxes. So I personally would be against us being involved in taking care of something that we didn't initiate as a council putting out. And if they're serious about their intentions, as was Mr. Irwin, then they can take care of those things and do their desire to beautify the town. That's my thought, so I would not agree at all to, providing labor to take care of somebody else's project.
A little problem with that also myself, because when we first come in here, they had flowers up here, and actually, I think about every one of them on Main Street died because nobody watered. Look at this thing, they ought to go to these people up here that owns the stores and stuff and say, hey, would you like to have a flower pot put here? We'll plant them, we'll do all this, but it's your job to walk out there and water and keep them alive. I don't think we need to spend any money for maintenance or whoever takes care of town, like Millie says also, to take care of what they wanna plant. But, and then the next year, I think, actually ended up hiring somebody to water them. I believe the hanging baskets, because and really and truly, I think, if they wanna find, but I'm the same way, I don't think, we should use any of our personnel to take care of it.
And a question that I was asked after the Christmas decorations were put up, and they were very attractive, then they stayed up for a long time and into February and looked a little bad. And my question is, who finally took them down? Was that our people or someone else?
They ended up, taking them down. We didn't take them down, and the delay in taking them down was the weather that
Well, that's
to
understandable.
follow through, the inclement weather. In regards to that, I seen that Facebook post, I did have a discussion with him that we cannot, nothing that gets put on Main Street can go into the ground itself. And actually, one of the, they'd actually had reached out to an engineer who also told him, you can't put a tree on Main Street, because in order for you to be able to put a tree on Main Street, you have to first prep the site, which means you have to dig down, you have to create a cavity for it to be able to grow and expand in, which was not done when streetscape was completed. So, and I made it very clear to them, I said, we're not damaging anything on streetscape, because we're still paying on that for many years. Streetscape is the way it is. We can do beautification stuff to it, but nothing that would require us to excavate it or do any sort of readjustment to streetscape at this point in time. So the thought process of the tree, and I seen that, and when I seen it, I thought to myself, well, it cannot go into streetscape. If you're gonna do a tree, it can only go into a flower pot, and that engineer actually told him that he does not recommend him doing that. But, you know, I told him I would bring that up to you. Something, I didn't have a problem with flower pots. At this point in time, the only question is, if, you know, they're gonna take the responsibility of that, and if council doesn't want our staff to maintain them, then you can make that directive, and it's their responsibility to figure out how to maintain it.
Where are they gonna be placed, and how many are we talking? I mean,
They are willing, they're just gonna put them in, it's, the flower pots that they showed me pictures, and I tried to get them to upload, and the way they got sent to me, it was such a big file, it wouldn't properly do it. And actually, I may be able to, pull some up.
that's all right.
But,
While you're pulling it up, Mr. Bouchard, if we're gonna have community partners, we need to establish trust and good communication. So when you read it and I read it on social media that something's already been done, then that damages our trust and our desire to cooperate moving forward, because things are put out there that aren't necessarily true at that point. So I think that's a discussion that needs to be had with them as well at some point.
yeah, and I will have that discussion with them, because when I seen that it's been approved, I shook my head, I was like, that's not been fully approved. Like, I still have to talk to council. And when they left the office the other day, it was clear that the problem was not, I think we all understood that nothing was going in the ground on streetscape. That everything had to be above ground. Flower pots would not be an issue. We are, as part of the new budget, we are maintaining the appearance of Main Street, and ultimately, and I've told this to them, and I've told this to the Chamber of Commerce as well. Ultimately, when we get to the point that, our manpower increases and we have more, sustainability, we will determine the beautification of Main Street.
As a council,
And-
that's our job.
Right, and put that responsibility back on the town, not on other organizations. If other organizations want to purchase stuff, they'd have to come to the council and say, we'd like to donate these for you to put out there. It's our responsibility to determine where those go. To your question of where are those items going, they're looking to put them on street corners, in front of, businesses, just throughout Main Street. And they're wanting to put them near the gravel lots that are up and down Main Street, to kind of draw your eyes away from the rock beds and see the flower pots and those items.
The only problem I see with the placement of them will be some of your business owners that may not want them.
Yeah, and that goes back to what Turk said.
And then you get into a
Business
whole
owner.
different thing. That's kind of,
And if the business owners don't want them, business owners have the right to say no, and we
Well,
will
what
not force nobody to.
Well, what if the business owners don't happen to be there that day, they come back, so I agree with Mr. Evans, if these folks are sincere about making the town better, then they work with the folks in downtown. Talk to the people, do you want a flower bed in front of your, a flower box, a flower planter in front of your store or not, et cetera, et cetera. Don't just go out and say, we think this is the way it should look, and we're gonna put them where we want to. I think they need, as Mr. Evans said, talk to the people on Main Street, where I think a flower would be lovely. Somebody else might not think it would be lovely there if their customers are falling over getting into the store.
Well, we're assuming that they haven't done
We have not, we're.
that. They may have already done
They
that.
have.
Who is watering the hanging baskets now?
So, the way it worked out, and I actually had this conversation with the chamber, you know, our objective is to, we maintain Main Street, but we didn't purchase those flowers. We were actually going to just put it as part of our maintenance program, but the TDA has actually allocated money to pay, one of our employees, to do it outside of the work
And that's fine.
and I had that conversation with that employee, and I told him, I said, you know, I tried to save them some money, and they wanted to do it that way. So I told them, well, I said, if they wanna pay for somebody to do it, I said, if they want you to do it, then you can do it, but it has to be done outside of work. And our workers' comp cannot cover it, and you cannot use any equipment that is owned by the town to do that.
And our gentleman that, and I've had people mention this to me, that our maintenance person is in charge of the downtown department is out there on Saturday morning picking up trash and emptying the trash. He has plenty to do, and I don't think that we don't need to set a precedent that organizations can come in and assume that our staff is their personal yard man.
Yeah, and in regards to these, I do wanna go back and specify that on these watering of flower plots, if we elected to do that and maintaining of it, it's a set schedule that we determine. It's not a schedule that they determine. So in other words, everything gets done at one time, and it gets done twice a week, 3 times a week at the most. And we have the capabilities with the golf cart that has been purchased over the years and outfitted, that our employees can ride through, water each one, and make this round through it.
So,
And that would be the max cost, that would be the max we would do.
so if this group wants to get the TDA to pay someone to water the plants, that's out of our hands. But I do not think that it's our responsibility to take care of projects that other people initiate, any more than it's our responsibility to take care of Mr. Irwin's, plants around the courthouse.
And I think they would probably reach out and pay for it themselves. I don't hold me 100% to it. I think the biggest thing they're wanting to do is permission to put these out there on Main Street if council is okay. Now, we'll have a meeting with them and tell them, you know, that if the business says no, if the business doesn't want it there,
Right.
you know.
Or better yet, why don't we just ask them to draw us a map where they're gonna put them?
We can tell them that to give us, because we have to come back anyways this month for a special meeting, and we can have that information.
If we enter into an MOU with someone, another organization, at that point, to me, it's partnership. And I think we did 2 MOUs that night when we did that meeting. And if I'm not wrong, that MOU said that we were entering into that with no cost to the town.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Having said that, that should have been taken care of up front. And I think also in that MOU that the council, would have approval of the project. To me, that would say that they would just come in and say, here, they would bring in a picture or give it to you or whatever and bring it in and say, these are the pots, this is where we're gonna put them. I think if we had done a little more of that on the front end, we wouldn't have this on the back end. I don't know what the cost of this, of one person going through watering, if they already have, work to do as they come through, if they're gonna do it as they're picking up trash and you're adding 30 minutes to their, to that detail, at that point, I don't think there would be any problem with it. But I think that needs to be in the scope of the projects that's brought to the council before it's done.
And if, exactly, and if you say, well, this little thing's just a little thing, it's just 30 more minutes, but we're setting precedent here, we're saying to anybody else that wants to come in and do anything, that we're automatically gonna take care of it, and that's not what we're here
No,
to do.
and
But I think that would
MOU
be handled in the MOU up
Yeah.
front.
The MOU eliminates anybody else from being able to come in and do
That's
anything else. It can only be one group, and that's gonna be that one group. Now,
Yeah.
we do
So-
have the ability to withdraw from the MOU, that option is in there.
But I think their hearts are in the right place. I think they're wanting to beautify the town, and I think that's why we agreed and voted unanimously, if I'm not wrong, to enter into the MOU.
Yeah.
And that was to beautify the town, so, you know, I leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth when we wanna attack somebody on assumptions when we agreed as a group to enter into the MOU with them. I think we may need we may just need more information. Because at this point, I don't think that we're all on the same page.
And they've been good about giving me information and doing what I've asked them to do. So I don't mind going back and requesting that they give us more detail of what they want to do. And, even if they need to come and present to you as well, I'm sure they won't mind doing that. Another reason for the MOU was, we've had different groups do different stuff. And, for example, the Sparta signs were, the welcome to the Sparta signs, I thought were ours, were not ours. Those were purchased by another organization. The certain flowers have been done in the past, like the hanging pots, those are done by the chamber. So I told them, I said, no, we only do, if we're gonna do a partnership, we're gonna do an MOU with one person, and we're not doing another MOU with nobody else. We have one group to communicate with. And if somebody else wants to do something, they need to come to you, and you need to come to us.
And we all signed on for that when we voted yes.
That's correct, and we voted that you can do it, and it's not gonna cost us anything.
That's correct.
So
That is
I
correct.
don't have a problem with doing it. Mr. Evans has got a legitimate point, they need to talk with people downtown. That's like somebody coming up to my farm and saying, look, I'm gonna put in some new fence, and I'm gonna do some improvements here that I think will really help you. But I'm not gonna ask you what, so just and go to the business owners, share this plan with them, say this is what we wanna do. Are you agreeable with us putting flower pots in front of your stores? Is it gonna be a problem for your customers? Do all that, then fences.
I can tell you one thing though too, because I'm not, every water
Council, including any subsequent amendments. That just allows us to be able to adjust stuff, but we cannot exceed the $2,768,590 allotment, without, coming for special budget ordinance adoptions for those. The town manager and the finance officer is hereby authorized to incorporate into the budget all remaining prior year budget amounts designated for outstanding incumbents upon up-sent donations and other ongoing projects as determined by the finance department. Section 15, the ordinance shall serve as the foundation for the financial plan of the town of Sparta during the 2025-2026 fiscal year. The town manager is tasked with administering the budget and ensuring operating officials are afforded guidance and comprehensive details in executing the respective portions of the budget. The finance department shall establish and maintain all records that are in accordance with the budget ordinance and the relevant status of the state of North Carolina. At this point in time, I'll turn it back to you, and again, the town fees are listed on there. They will be, available on our website as we move forward, for our residents to see, and a packet will be dispersed to them with those town fees as well. At this point in time, we'll open it up for any discussions, tabling or adoption of the resolution, of the ordinance.
I'll make a motion to pass.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Davis.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Close the public hearing. Any other questions? Public hearing is now closed. I need a,
Go ahead,
Hey,
Terry.
I got one question.
Yes.
You said something about a special meeting. Is
Well,
that-
this month,
Yeah,
yeah, when we do the wastewater treatment plant.
okay, I was just making sure the budget wasn't already scheduled.
No, it is the budget, unless we don't pass it tonight, then we would incorporate it into the next meeting.
Okay.
okay, got a motion.
I second Mr. Evans' motion that he just made after
That's
Mr.
the
Fuller
budget.
closed the public comment.
Any other comment?
I would like to say that, you guys, did a great job on this budget. Turk, approached me before the meeting and talked about it, and for us to, help our employees that Turk and I was talking about, and, cover all our expenses and not have a tax increase, was no small feat. And, like Turk and I were talking about, you guys did a great job, getting to this point.
I do want to extend my appreciation to all of you for giving your input, and I know Peggy and I had this discussion, she said, well, this is not the way we've normally done it. And I thought, and she said, so you've got them more involved, and my objective is, this is the primary document that your constituents are gonna ask you about. So I want you to have as much involvement in it as possible, versus me just throwing some numbers and saying, hey, here's what's gonna work. I want you to understand it, because this is what constituents will ask, especially if we had to increase tax rates, which thankfully we got together, we worked at it, the department's head worked together to ensure that we can meet our objectives. And, we sat down and we basically said, let's look at realistic goals. What is realistically what we can achieve? And I appreciate council's support on getting these numbers established.
Mr. Lutron, this is not the way it's been done in the past, and not throwing any shade on anyone, but this is what we were elected to do, and this is what we're expected to do. And you all did a great job, and we put in the time, to make it work, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm real pleased that we're finally moving in that direction.
All in favor? 5-0, we got a budget, okay?
And like I said, Chief, I thank you. You've worked with us tremendously.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to speak a little bit about the Kraus house. It's completed on the inside. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go over and look at it. But, we got Richard Nichols there, he was over there one evening and we talked about he's wanting the use of it there on Monday evenings, like they've been doing for the last 20-some years. And, he has given me a commitment there of helping pay for the fuel and everything in the wintertime of $400. And, we, at the Kraus Park there, we got stuff for the small children, we got stuff for the big children, and we got stuff for the middle-sized children. And we need something for the older people right there, and I think that's a great thing, and I'd like to continue for the pickers to use that on Monday evening for 2 or 3 hours, so, what do y'all think?
I think it's fine.
Do we need that in a motion?
We do need to have a motion, just because we do have a fee schedule, and the permit, which technically, it doesn't, you can look at it as a permit itself, event permit, it's a revolving thing. In the event permit section, there is, when it comes to payment, there is one line that says council has the right to waive any fees associated with an event. And I gave that flexibility to council because, kind of like what you discussed with this event itself, you wanted it to be free. Again, not putting your hands behind your back and saying that you can't do that. I do, however, though, just just so that my recommendation is if they want to do if you want to establish a fee, you need to understand the cost of what it was, the past couple of years. And from 2022 to 2025 was $6,538.96 was the total cost. So they're averaging about a little bit over $2,000 a year. If you wanna do 400, that's fine, we'll be able to take up the extra. Of course, the fees increase, so we're gonna be able to cover it. And I did have them just pull their amount of donations, in the past 3 years, which, they did donate $391.17 in total. So I didn't know if you wanted to set a set fee for them, or you just wanna do a donation base. I wanted you to kind of see those numbers and the council decide how you wanna handle it. Do you wanna handle that they do $400 a year? Do you want to allow them to continue to do a donation jar, which is what they've done at this point in time? Or do you want to just waive fees? Whichever, that way I can instruct staff on how to handle the reservations for those Mondays.
And Mike, you said that they will help out on the oil, was that?
Richard said that, with the donation jar and Brian Edwards was there at the meeting there too, but he said that whatever they didn't come up with, that he would take care of too, but it'd be approximately $400 what they would contribute.
Well, that'd be a lot more than what we would charge them to use it.
I mean,
Now, whoa, is that $400 for the summer, is that $400 for the year? Is that
for the year,
$400
for the year.
For the calendar year that's.
And, it's just, a request there that they use that, of course, in the summertime there, there's not much expense there, but in the wintertime there, they do use a little fuel oil.
Yeah, most of the cost was, we just pulled the winter time. We pulled, the winter usage. We didn't pull the summertime because.
Do we winterize over there?
We did this year, we winterized it.
But we normally leave the heat on year round whether anybody's using it or not.
No, we do
We
find
put
it.
it on, winter-wise, we put it on 60, so that the pipes don't bust.
Yeah,
So we can't really say that the pickers are using $6,000 worth of oil.
That's in 3 years,
in 3 years.
2,000 a year.
it's 2,000.
Okay, so $2,000, we can't really say they're using $2,000 worth of
No,
oil.
they're not gonna use the full
Okay.
2,000, because they're only doing it one day for X amount, and I don't want them to think that their donation jar covers the whole fuel cost, because it doesn't cover the whole fuel cost. Now, we are gonna do some changes to it, I will say that we are going to look at ways to insulate, because if you go up underneath the house, you can look up underneath the house and you can see the parking lot through the bottom of it, so we've, I gotta find a brave soul that's willing to crawl in there and, put some insulation, but we're gonna do some work to try to fix it, and it's a continuous project, and it's like I told you when we started working on it. My goal is to be able to have a year-round facility, especially for the winter months when parents are looking for somewhere to host a birthday party or a family get-together, and if we can have a facility that we can provide to them, that would be great. Because it's hard to come out here and throw a birthday party outside in January.
So do we need a motion on this for the fee?
Yeah, if you decide you wanna do a fee or you wanna do something different, because it would be different of the fee schedule that's established. So if it's anything, and that's where the permit stuff comes in, and those, if it's anything that is not in the normal, council would have to make those motions. So whatever you wanna do, if you wanna do free of charge, if you wanna do $400, if you wanna do the tip jar that they do, however, that way we can let, him know, and the staff up front knows how to handle it.
If Richard would do one barbecue cooking and play music on a Monday night, and sell it, he'd have more than enough money to pay for
We
that.
can start making money.
At the meeting right there, that's what we agreed on. He said he would guarantee $400.
I think that, I don't have a problem with that, y'all have a problem with that?
The only thing I'll say is they've been doing it for 30-some years, and I hate to even change anything, just let them keep right on with what they're doing. They're obviously said they're gonna bring us a little bit of money here and there to help pay for the fuel costs, just let it be.
He told me there today there that there's some people there from France, and they wanna hear some country music.
Well, it's a great thing.
Bluegrass music at the Kraus house.
And we don't have nobody beating the doors down, wanting on Monday evenings, do we?
No, because I think everyone in town has been under the understanding that Monday nights belongs to them.
And they have been throughout respectful and cooperative partners with us in all of their endeavors. So if they wanna give $400, I think that's great, let them rock and roll.
I made a motion for that,
I'll make that motion, Mr. Blair, since I just said it, if you want to second it.
okay, well, I'll second.
So are we doing the 400 or are we doing the tip jar?
The 400.
400 for the year?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll let our staff know, that way they can, of course, they'll have all year to raise that and,
Yeah.
and do that.
All in favor?
I second it. All in favor?
I'm voting no. I don't think we ought to charge it $400,
Well,
so that's fine.
they volunteered though, Josh, if you don't wanna hurt their
I'm
feelings, they
voting no.
wanna help.
They can get mad at me if they want to, but I'm voting no.
Well, that's your prerogative, that's good too.
Well, I don't want to charge nothing, but I figure if they wanted to give.
Oh, I'm
me,
thanking them for bringing it on, but I just hate to see something change after 35 years, and all of them been here their whole lives doing it, and
We ain't never charged them in 33
they
years.
just donated.
Well, they've got a.
Just donate.
They got a tip jar there, you know.
I didn't do this to cause controversy, I'm just,
No, you're fine, you're entitled to your way.
Well, just take the tip jar and forget the 400, whatever, you get the tip jar. What we
we've
did
already
is-
voted, they've already
We've
voted.
already voted.
They've already voted.
So for one, what is it?
4-1 is fine.
They offered to do it, so we don't wanna, don't wanna hurt their feelings and not accept their shit wrong.
Gentlemen, I can work for you. Okay. Other business. Manager's report.
So council, just, two things to discuss, well, the first one's the wastewater treatment plant, and I just wanted to, as I told you, we only had one bidder show up at the May bid. And the Mayor Pro Tem, Perdue was with me when I got the phone call, that there was some bidders that were hesitant about bidding that first day. And, they specified it, sometimes that happens, that there is becoming while initially there was a lot of interest in it, and you have a list, I provided a list of the six contractors that have downloaded documents at this point in time. Only one of the contractors showed up, we kind of expected a contractor to show up. The plan was already in place that if that first one didn't go through, a rebid would occur on June 6th.
That's the law.
Huh?
That's the law.
Yeah, we
Can't
don't,
accept one bid.
we already had in place, our plan for a rebid date without having to have everything redone again. And we had all of, in the individual's, defense, the last one we requested, is he is not the person that bought it from the county. This individual purchased it from the original person that bought it from the county. So that deed just shows the transition from the other one. So we're doing some searching as to how did this occur, if there's anything we can do to recoup that money. We'll let you know whether we can or can't by our next June meeting. And that is it for the management workshop.
We're gonna have, other business.
That was the
12, public comment opportunity, GS 160 A-81-1. Anybody got any public comment? I don't see anybody jumping up in here right now, so, need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Got a discussion, need a
Yes, sir.
second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?